Those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable.
Revolution.
First, what is a revolution?
Revolution is the solution, hey.
The motive of a revolution.
Well, now,
The objective of a revolution.
be televised.
And the result of a revolution. And the methods used in a revolution.
I know you know. Put my gun away. Never gonna put my gun away. Put my gun away. See them all, be better run away.
This generation of Americans has already had enough, more than enough, of war and hate and oppression.
Hello, Internet. How is everybody this evening? Happy Hump Day. Oh, Scarlett came to say hi. You want to say hi, everybody? Come on, let's say hi. All right, folks. Good to see you. I hope everybody is doing well. Got a lot to talk about. Unfortunately, I'm going to start the show off on a bit of a sad note tonight because, there's some news that came out a couple days ago that myself and I know a lot of other people are sad about. So we'll get right into it. If you guys are here in the chat, drop Wally World, nice to see us. Yep, she jumped up just for you, Wally. If you guys are hanging out, jump in the chat, say hi. You know how I boost my self-esteem when you talk to me. Again, hope everybody's doing well. Hope you're making it through the week. I meant to go live last night, but I got home too late from work, so I did it today. Got off pretty early and did a run. It was nice. It was like 85 degrees here, and it was hot when I ran. It was beautiful. Saw a couple of really cool cars. All right. I think many of you guys have probably heard. I mean, the Joe Biden cancer, prostate cancer, and it spread to his bones. That news came out. We talked a lot about it last Sunday. And the next day, I believe it was the next day, our friend Scott Adams announced that he has the same cancer. And that really bummed me out. Like, I hate to be a dick, but I wasn't bummed out at all when Joe Biden has cancer. I don't want him to have cancer or anything like that, and I'm not going to celebrate that he has cancer, but, he's not a good guy. So I'm not going to shed any tears over it. Scott Adams, on the other hand, is a very good guy. And 2020 was a very rough year for all of us. And I'm not going to make this about me. I'll just say that 2020 was a very tough year for me. Very isolating. I know it was a lot. I know it was isolating for you guys too. 2021 as well. And Scott Adams' show sort of, made it a little less isolating, especially because he's local. He's local to me. He's probably within 50 miles of me. I believe he's out in like the San Ramon area. And he's just got a very rational sort of way of looking at things, and a very he keeps emotion out of decision making, and he tries to look at every angle of things. And I don't agree with him all the time. In fact, there's times during COVID where I wanted to rip my hair out listening to him, but he ultimately came around to admitting what we all have come to admit. Well, not all of us. There's still some true believers, but what most of us have come to realize about the vaccine. And he came out and he announced that he has the same cancer, and he's not expecting to live much past this summer. And that really bums me out because he's such a good guy. I can't imagine how he's feeling. I can't imagine how isolating this must be for him. And yeah, so I just wanted to talk about it and sort of give Scott Adams a salute, because he's he helped me through a very tough time, and I know he helped a lot of you guys through a very tough time too. That was again very isolating, and the different voices of sanity during that time period were very helpful for a lot of us, especially Californians. It was extra crazy here in California. I talk about it all the time, but 85% of Californians took at least one shot. People just complied because their jobs were threatened, all sorts of things. Lockdowns lasted way longer here. So it was extra insane. So he was like a extra voice of sanity during the COVID times, particularly for Californians. So this is the clip that Scott Adams shared a few days ago, and we'll go ahead to listen to what he has to say.
Some of you have already guessed, so this won't surprise you at all. But I have the same cancer that Joe Biden has. So I also have prostate cancer that has also spread to my bones. But I've had it longer than he's had it. Well, longer than he's admitted having it. So my life expectancy is maybe the summer. I expect to be checking out from this domain sometime this summer. Now, some of you.
So not good news. Not good news. I hope he makes it a lot longer than this summer, and I hope that one of the reasons, if you watch the longer clip, that he didn't come out earlier and say that he has cancer is because he's such a big alternate media personality, and he gets a lot of hate, and he knew that once he says it, he's going to get a lot of hate. I hope that's not the case. I hope all the people that care about him and find value in what he's done and all the things that he says, I hope everybody is flooding his mentions, and in his personal life, obviously, people are just showing their support and giving him the love that he deserves because he's such a good dude. So, yeah, it's hard to hear. Here's another clip from Scott Adams, and this is one of his most famous clips. His other most famous clip is highly controversial. One of the clips, that's the clip that I believe got his Dilbert comic canceled. You guys don't know who Scott Adams is. He's the artist that created the Dilbert comic that's been in newspapers for decades. In fact, I should have pulled this clip up. There was a show called News Radio back in the day with Joe Rogan. That was like the only sitcom Joe Rogan's ever been in. Phil Hartman, Andy Dick. I can't remember the other guy's name. Another comedian, very funny. And they played a clip where Scott Adams had a cameo in that show. They're standing in line at a coffee shop, and there's a Dilbert comic up front. And Andy Dick thought it was hilarious, and he was taking forever to order, and Scott Adams basically told him to hurry up. So kind of funny. But this is the clip that sort of went viral from Scott Adams' show in peak vaccine hysteria time, and this got him a lot of negative attention. It also got him a lot of love from us anti-vaxxers. So we'll play this.
Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you that the anti-vaxxers appear to be right. Somebody who did not get vaccinated, got a little Omicron, or maybe even a worse one, but recovered. Now you've got natural immunity, and you have no vaccination in you. Can we all agree that that was the winning path? The smartest, happiest people are the ones who didn't get the vaccination and are still alive. I want to make sure that I'm not leaving any wiggle room for myself. Have I? Have I said as clearly as possible they're the happy ones right now? And have a reason to be, completely. Right. Having said as clearly as possible that the anti-vax people seem to be the winners, I want you to hear that clearly. The anti-vax people appear to be the winners.
I will say, I don't think there's any winners in this. Most of us that didn't take the vaccine didn't wish anything bad on the people that took it. It wasn't about that. People that didn't take it wished bad things upon us, but we didn't want bad things to happen to people that took the vaccine, especially people that were coerced into taking the vaccine. I wanted to be wrong about all of it, and it turned out that it was highly safe and effective, and it wasn't going to cause any other bad things to happen to people, but that doesn't appear to be the case. So I'm not going to look at it as like a winners and losers situation. It's just a lot of us didn't take it, because we're healthy individuals. And that was the most confusing and frustrating part about most of it, because the people that were most rabid about other people taking vaccines tended to be more on the unhealthy side. Obese people, people that didn't take care of themselves, were screaming at people like us that, well, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but myself, I'm a endurance athlete. I run really far. I have done martial arts all my life. I played sports all my life. I try to eat pretty well, don't eat too many sweets. I don't have high body fat. And I just didn't see any reason to take the vaccine. And it was like that from the get-go. As soon as they announced that they're going to have a vaccine, I was like, no, I'm not. I mean, what's the survival rate? And as time went on, it became much more apparent that it wasn't going to be dangerous to healthy, fit people. And the hysteria just got more and more. So I don't look at this as a winners and losers situation, because I didn't want anybody to, lose, especially Scott.
The anti-vaxxers clearly are the winners at this point, and I think it'll probably stay that way. And I don't want to put any shade on that whatsoever. They came out the best. They have the winning position. The unvaccinated have a current advantage because they feel better. The thing they're not worrying about is what I have to worry about, which is, I wonder if that vaccination 5 years from now, because really the anti-vaxxers, I think, were really just distrustful of big companies and big government. That's never wrong. It's never wrong to distrust government. It's never wrong to distrust big companies, right? So if you just took the position, let's just distrust everything the government did, well, you won. You won. You won completely. I did not end up in the right place. Agree? You would all agree with that, right? I did not end up in the right place. The right place would be natural immunity, no vaccination. You should take victory, and I should take defeat. We can agree on that, right? That my position is now the weakest, and your position has gone from the weakest to the strongest, and that we can just say that's true. The people who didn't get vaxxed are absolutely in the winning position. You win. You win. You are the winners. You are the winners. All right, let me say that part with no ambiguity. You won. You won. All of my fancy analytics got me to a bad place. All of your heuristics, don't trust these guys, it's obvious, totally worked.
It bums me out even more now, just looking back at this video. I mean, another reason that he said he didn't want to announce it is because he didn't want people, the thing everybody's probably thinking is, did his cancer diagnosis have anything to do with taking the shot? How long ago was he diagnosed with it? We don't know. I don't know. I don't really care. He has cancer and he's not expecting to live much longer, and that's horrible. It's rough. I mean, fuck cancer, definitely. So I don't know how many people I can speak for, but probably a lot when I say we salute you, Scott Adams. Thank you. You made getting through COVID and the insanity that ensued much more doable with your daily show and being such a rational and good person. So thank you, Scott. Yep. So that's all I'll talk about, that sad part of the show that I had to say something about it, because again, his show is a big part of COVID for me, and this isn't about me, it's about Scott, but relating to it, it was I didn't realize how isolating COVID was until I started looking back at it when we've had a few years of separation from the insanity, and it was very isolating, and it sucked. It sucked a lot. I know it did for you guys too. So We salute you, Scott Adams. All right, we'll get into the other stuff that I wanted to talk about, because I mean, there's a few things that are kind of going crazy right now, like the Kash Patel and Dan Bongino stuff's going pretty wild right now, and it's funny because, like, I voted for Trump. I'm all about America first, but I mean, just like the left, the hardcore progressives, the hardcore CNN watchers, the hardcore COVID vaccine people are in a cult. The super hardcore MAGA people also seem to be in a cult, because now it's all of a sudden, oh, Dan Bongino and Kash Patel said it, so Epstein killed himself. Obviously, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. I mean, especially knowing how dirty the FBI is and how far back their blackmail schemes to get people to do what they want them to do go. I mean, since its inception, J. Edgar Hoover, I talk about it all the time. J. Edgar Hoover, Meyer Lansky, getting people in compromising positions to blackmail them. And you know that if they're blackmailing people to get them to do and say what they want, they're probably doing other things too. If blackmail's not going to work, probably comes to threats and going after people's money, worse, all kinds of stuff. So we'll go to Dominic Michael Trippy here and just see. I'll just post, or I'll show what he posted, because a lot of us are thinking that exact thing. And yeah, I know I'm not alone on this. I don't think Epstein killed himself, guys. I don't. Breaking news, but it seems highly unlikely that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. Some people are saying that he's in witness protection program. He's not actually dead, that kind of thing. I don't know how much I buy that either. I mean, yeah. And if that's the case, they still lied. They just went on TV and said that Epstein clearly killed himself. This is Dominic Michael Trippy. Says both Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are saying that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, no foul play, and Thomas Crooks, the would-be Trump assassin, worked alone during President Trump's Butler, PA assassination attempt. They've been compromised, likely blackmail. And I know I'm not the only one thinking this. It's and none of us can imagine what happens when you get into that sort of position, when you're waist deep into the swamp. I'm not buying it, you guys. I'm not buying it at all. And here's Sean Ryan went on the Tucker Carlson show a couple days ago, and they talked about this a little bit. And it's highly suspicious from any angle that you look at it. So let's listen to what Sean Ryan and Tucker had to say about it.
No matter who gets elected, the Epstein videos remain secret.
Wait, what are you talking about? I thought we could all sleep well at night now knowing that Epstein legitimately killed himself, right?
What was that?
Did that just come out?
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide.
You know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself.
You weren't convinced by that?
No.
Why?
I've dug into that, and it's just so spooky. I mean, how do you charge a guy with sex trafficking when there's no end users that have been charged? Who did he traffic to?
What do you think that was?
What do I think it was?
Yeah.
I think it was a blackmail operation. What do you think it was?
I think it was a blackmail operation run by the CIA and the Israeli intel services, and probably others. You know, French intelligence always has a hand in everything, I've noticed. Probably them too. The usual darkest forces in the world colluding to make rich and powerful people obey their agenda.
I mean, this is like a tactic that is old as time. How could they just flip on what they said so quickly? I should have pulled up the clip of Bongino talking about Epstein a year or two ago or whenever it was, and he had the complete opposite opinion. And he goes on and says that he's been briefed. He's seen every different aspect of the Epstein murder or suicide situation, and it was clearly a suicide now. Like, what did you see? Did you look at the records of the cameras going out, the two guards that just fell asleep? The whole thing doesn't make any sense, and it's insane. You guys jump in the chat and tell me what you think about this. Am I crazy? Are you guys believing this? Are you guys believing Bongino and Kash Patel because they're Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and they're such righteous dudes? And I don't want to throw shade at the guys. I don't know if I would be able to. I'd like to hope that I would, that if I got into their positions, that I don't care what they threatened to blackmail me with, what they threatened me with, including death, and that I wouldn't go along with it. I like to think that, but I mean, how strong are we really? So not to throw too much shade, because it seems that the swamp is deep, and these bad actors pulling the strings behind the scenes are so deeply entrenched in our intelligence agencies and our politics that I don't know how to beat this. I really don't. Not to be too much of a black pilling person right now, but I don't know how any of this changes. So this is a guy named Jesus Enrique Rojas, and he's a body language specialist. And I can't play this whole thing because it's like 22 minutes long, but I stopped it at the part where he starts to analyze Kash Patel. Somebody said something funny earlier. Why does Kash Patel always look like he just got off a roller coaster? It's kind of true. So let's watch a little bit from Jesus Enrique Rojas analyzing the body language of Kash Patel and Dan Bongino.
Is this one? How come we don't have more information about this investigation?
How come we don't have more information on the assassination attempts on President Trump?
There's two reasons, two open, ongoing prosecutions. So 2 of the investigations are obviously closed because the individuals are dead.
Okay, that first one, not talking about body language, but talking about simple. It's the simplest common sense. How come you say that investigation is obviously? He said the word obviously. 2 of the investigations are obviously closed because the individuals are dead. How does that happen? Because you want to know if they were working with someone else, if they were, in this, I don't know, if what were their motives, how they do that, where did they get the gun? It's not that simple. That was a stupid thing to say. It's just no way that anybody can justify those words. Maybe it was a slip of the mind. I don't know how the FBI works in that regard. We also saw kind of a lip pressing on Kash Patel, in which
So the Butler PA thing is just as suspicious as the Epstein situation. There's so many aspects of it, like not only the failure of the Secret Service and the FBI and the local sheriff's departments. How did he get on the roof? How did he fly a drone around ahead of time? The Secret Service, was it Secret Service? The head of Secret Service saying that the roof was sloped. That's why they didn't have anybody on there. The fact that CNN didn't cover any of Trump's rallies, and then the only rally that they covered was the Butler PA one. There's so many. How his social media was scrubbed super quick. His house was completely scrubbed and stripped of, didn't even have any silverware in it. We don't know anything about Daniel Crooks, except that he appeared in a BlackRock commercial, which is kind of weird. Like, the whole situation is so weird. We don't have any explanations for it. So obviously we're all going to start not jumping to conclusions, but start coming up with our own conspiracy theories of what actually happened. And yeah, so just the Butler PA thing, they're just pushing the same old freaking narrative. And it's amazing. It's amazing how quickly the guys that are supposed to be the champions of the guys that fight against the deep state get in there and immediately start parroting the same talking points of the deep state. It's amazing. Remember Kash Patel talked about the first thing he'd do. I think it might have even been on the Sean Ryan show. The first thing that he'd do if he got into the FBI was like fire everybody and move everybody out of the FBI headquarters, and he's such big talk, and he hasn't done shit. I mean, nothing we were supposed to see about the Epstein files. You know, they did that big old dog and pony show where they handed out binders that all had shit that's already out there, and nothing new was released, and it was like this giant spectacle with, I'm bummed this Mike Cernovich is one of them because I like Mike Cernovich. Like all of this, like what, nothing that we hoped would happen has happened yet. And I mean, they secured the border, great, you know, but I mean, the wars in Ukraine are still going on. The relationship with Israel still is strong. We're still funding that genocide or ethnic cleansing, whatever you want to call it, because there's a lot of that's a huge debate right now. It's not genocide. You know, everybody's playing these semantic games on it's not really a genocide. What's happening both in Gaza and over in South Africa, which we're going to get into a little bit later. All right, let's watch a little bit more of this body language analysis.
He heard that the question, okay, I need to answer, and then it was usually this dynamic. Kash Patel answered, and then Dan Bongino complemented the answer. But that first part of the answer was moronic, completely moronic.
But there's 2 live prosecutions, and so we can't get ahead of the federal court case.
Okay, they cannot get ahead of the federal court case. They cannot reveal much about that, but the fact that some investigations are done because the perpetrators are dead, that is nonsensical. He does an eyebrow flash that we usually do when we want to, connect, when we have to have this emotional connection, when we want to have some kind of rapport, when we want to look for some kind of support to what we are saying, which I don't know if the interviewer, we should have been able to look at the interviewer face. But no, I don't think that he was getting much feedback. This is the second clip that we're going to analyze today.
A lot of that information will come out in the federal court cases, but we have personally invested our time in making sure that we have looked at any possible international connections to terrorism.
Okay, this is good. We have worked together. I have just a couple questions in here. He is nodding very deeply, nodding heavily, is doing this movement with his head. I think that he doesn't do in other moments of the interviews. Like he really wants to drive the point home that they're working on it, that they are actually, he's looking for a report with Bongino. It's like, we are working together. He's directly looking at Bongino. It's not the same that he could speak to the journalist and then point at Bongino without breaking eye contact, but he is looking into the direction of Bongino to look at his face, look at, okay, how do we deal with this? Okay, are you with me with this? You know what you're going to answer next? Okay, going to give him a pass just once, but let's see what happens next.
Any possible international connections to terrorism and adversaries alike. And we've both been down to Quantico. We've both done the laboratory test.
Oh, he did that again. He went to Bongino, looking at him. We both went to Quantico. It's like we both have done this. It's like looking for support. Okay, it's not only looking for that rapport with the journalist, but support with Bongino, who is next to him.
We've both seen the explosives analysis. We've both seen the firearm and physically held it. We are all in on these investigations.
He begins to do the Kash Patel crazy eyes trademark. He begins to open his eyes in a way of emphasizing things. It's a bit disturbing, but it's something that he does. It's something that is I would say that is part of his body language baseline. There was a very subtle eyebrow raise, his left eyebrow.
Right, you guys get the point, the body language breakdown. Wally, I don't believe them, but more important to me is the client list. Yes, but more important to me than that is hard evidence of who the Epstein was working for, who Diddy was working for, because this is like they weren't the top of the food chain here. That's not like they weren't the top guy. They were doing a job for somebody. So who was that? And I mean, there seems to be a pretty common consensus that Epstein was likely working for the Israeli intelligence in some fashion. A lot of people say the CIA, maybe both. Who knows? But Whitney Webb's done a lot of good work on this. I talk about her book all the time, One Nation Under Blackmail, Volume 1 and 2. To me, Volume 1 is just as important, if not more important than Volume 2, because it creates a pattern. It shows a pattern of these tactics being used for decades, for 100 years almost. Maybe, I'm talking about just within the United States and the mob and Israel. It shows a pattern of behavior of blackmail to get people to do what they want, getting people in compromising situations. And that appears to be exactly what Jeffrey Epstein was doing. Same thing with Diddy. There's so many connections there, so many similarities in behavior and tactics that they were using. So I think that's enough with the body language. I can't watch this whole thing. It's like 20 minutes long. So I got a lot of other stuff that I want to get into. Yeah, I've already spent too much time on this. So I don't know. I'm not buying the Epstein killed himself talk, you guys. I don't know about you, but I am definitely not buying it at all. And yeah, it's no shade at Dan Bongino and Kash Patel. I mean, I guess, like you said, Wally, you don't believe that. I don't necessarily blame them, but I am highly disappointed in them. It's they bent the knee, it appears, and from my perspective. I don't know if you guys disagree with me. Let me know in the chat. All right, let's move on to the South Africa situation. Not even so much the South Africa situation, but the narratives that's being parroted from the same people that told us vaccines are safe and effective, Trump is a Russian asset, the Hunter Biden laptop is fake news, all the things that they lied to us about in unison. So yeah, let's just see, like, all the usual suspects are saying the exact same thing about South Africa. And it's pretty interesting. The headlines are interesting, to say the least. So I'll go over to let's start with the Independent. That's like the most mild. Oh, no. So the Independent. So Trump did a meeting with I can't remember his name, like the leader of South Africa, today, and it was a very awkward meeting. And he played a video that's a compilation of them saying "kill the Boers, kill the farmers." The Boers, the BOERS, are what they call the white farmers in South Africa. I did a deep dive episode about 2 years ago into this, and there's a documentary out there on it by Lauren Southern. Was it Lauren Southern? Yeah, Lauren Southern. She did it was from 2018. She did a documentary on this. So this isn't something new that's being reported. White South African farmers are being attacked, murdered. Their land is being taken from them, and it's a horrific situation over there. Whether it's a genocide or not is it's semantics. It doesn't really matter. The situation is really bad over there. And like you guys know, we took in 37 people or something like that. And the left is all up in arms about it because they're saying, oh, because they're white, you took them in. It's pretty ridiculous. So this is from the meeting today. And I'm just going to read 6 different headlines from 6 different news organizations saying similar stuff. So the Independent, their biggest takeaway, the Independent's biggest takeaway is Trump's bald spot during Oval Office meeting with, Trump's bald spot during Oval Office meeting draws laughter on social media. And they show a picture of Trump's bald spot. Yeah, the 78 or 79-year-old man has a bald spot. Hilarious. What the hell? Okay, then let's go to Forbes. What does Forbes have to say? Forbes says Trump argues with South African president falsely claiming genocide of white farmers. Okay, falsely claiming. Then we'll go over to the Boston Globe. The Boston Globe says President Trump used a White House meeting to push false claims of genocide against white farmers in South Africa. receiving pushback from the country's president, Cyril Ramaphosa. I guess that's how you say his name. Follow live updates. Okay. And then let's go over to NBC News. Same thing. In a tense meeting with South African President Ramaphosa, President Trump plays videos promoting baseless claims of white genocide in the country. Baseless claims. The video is the base that he's making his claims from. He plays the video for them of, I mean, stadiums full of people. I'll play some of it in a little bit here, calling for the death of white farmers. Kill the Boers, kill the farmer. And the comparison to genocide, I mean, maybe it's not a genocide yet, but this is how genocides happen. This is how the Holodomor happened in Ukraine with the Soviets and the Leninists, when the farmers were considered the proletariat, you know, the rich, the landowners. So they killed them. They killed them and took their land. And then the people that took their land, oh shit, we don't know how to farm. And then there's a mass starvation. That's what the Holodomor was. And now it's like the same line of thinking is taking over in South Africa, and it's horrifying. So let's go over to the Independent. What does the Independent have to say? Oh, they talk about Trump's bald spot too. Oh no, I already played the Independent one. Sorry. CNN. President Trump pushes unsubstantiated claims of white genocide in South Africa during tense White House meeting with the nation's president. Okay, so that's CNN, the Independent, NBC, the Boston Globe, and Forbes, all saying the same thing, that he's lying. These are baseless claims. There's no evidence. There's tons of evidence, and this isn't a new thing. This has been going on for a very long time. So Libs of TikTok here says, she says, OMG, Trump just played a compilation of South Africa's leaders calling to kill white people and steal their land in front of the president of South Africa's face. So this is like a 4-minute clip, and I'm going to play the whole thing because this compilation pretty much does show like all the different clips that I would show you guys, but they're all together. These are all different events, like stadiums full of people cheering for killing the white farmers. And this isn't like it, like I don't know how they're calling this baseless and false, because that's what they're calling for. And it was very awkward. Like this is kind of the stuff that Trump does that I like. He doesn't hold back, and he puts people on blast. Yeah. Wally World, Trump has balls. Exactly. Trump has major balls. So let's watch this clip. It's like 4.5 minutes long when I'm going to play the whole thing.
Turn the lights down. Turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you. Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South Africa occupy land.
We're going to occupy land. So he's talking about taking the land from the farmers, specifically.
That's who we are.
That's genocidal talk.
At some point, there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolution.
A revolution at some point demands that there must be killing, because killing is a part of revolution. So look at this stadium full of people. Shoot to kill the Boer, kill the farmer. It's like a war chant. Look at all these people. This is a giant stadium full of tens of thousands of people, maybe hundreds of thousands of people.
The man of DJ is PE is a white man. So these people really want to hit them hard. Go after a white man. They think a talent will pay because they attacked a white man. Not because Bashar and Sulu will not be touched. They will be touched. Come on. But we're starting with this whiteness. We're cutting the throat of whiteness. Shoot, kill.
You guys see this in the background here? Let me blow it up so you guys can see it a little more. Go full screen here. You see the fist here? You guys see this? The fist in the background here? I mean, does that fist look familiar to you guys? It should. Killed the boar, the farmer. Giant stadium full of people. And the colors. It's always black and red when it like, do all the authoritarian mass murderers really just decide, you know what? Black and red's the color we're going to go with. Like every freaking time it's black and red. Why?
I'm saying you was not called for the killing of white people, at least for now.
So you're saying we're not calling for the killing of white people, at least for now.
Do you understand somebody watching that, especially as it gets shared on Twitter? It makes freak out. It sounds like a genocide over
We are going to shoot them with the machine gun. They are going to run. We're going to shoot them. Like, baseless claims, guys.
Who will expropriate land without compensation, whether they like it or not. If they object, they can seek a refugee in America.
Now this is very bad. These are burial sites right here. Burial sites.
So this is in Lord and Southern's documentary that you guys I highly recommend watching this documentary because it's pretty insane. They have no escape, and every night is, locked gates around their property because at any time they could be ambushed by, multiple dozens of men coming in with guns, trying to kill them and take their land. And I mean, I can't imagine living in that sort of situation every freaking night.
1,000 of white farmers, and those cars are lined up to pay love on a Sunday morning. Each one of those white things you see is a cross, and there's approximately 1,000 of them. They're all white farmers, the family of white farmers. And those cars aren't driving, they're stopped there to pay respects to their family member who was killed. And it's a terrible sight. I've never seen anything like it. Both sides of the road, you have crosses.
So that's the clip. Just playing it right for the South African president. Just right there. And then Forbes, The Independent, Boston Globe, NBC News, CNN, all say it's baseless claims, no evidence. And they try to harp on the word genocide, on whether or not it's a genocide. The whole thing's frustrating and ridiculous. So here's CNN defending the "Kill the Board" chant. Let's see how they try to spin this one.
Larry, has been debate over that song, that anti-apartheid chant, right? And for people who don't have,
it's an anti-apartheid chant. Kill the farmers is just an anti-apartheid chant. Okay.
Of a historical context, it does potentially appear more literal. Talk to us about the debate that has happened inside of South Africa with the recognition of how it appears to people when they hear those words.
It is an inflammatory song, without a doubt. And many in South Africa, even Black South Africans, don't think it should be sung in a post-apartheid world, 30 years plus after apartheid. But there are many who grew up under those years of white minority rule who understand the historical context of this song, Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer, that Julius Malema has made popular again. It sort of fell into disuse. It's not been that commonly sung after the end of apartheid in 1994, but it's brought it back again to reanimate the issue of the majority of land in South Africa still being owned by white farmers.
Okay, so what's your plan? Kill the farmers and take their land? Because that appears to be the plan. And then what happens when you don't know how to farm the land? That, like, there's a South African Holodomor is what's going to happen. All right, this is a clip from like a few years ago. I played this. I have a South Africa folder that I save things from, and this is from I Meme Therefore I Am, and he posted one of the most influential politicians on the South African continent, and particularly in South Africa, Julius Malema. That's the guy you guys saw on the stage there. Was asked in court if he would pledge not to call for the slaughter of white people. He strongly refused it. Let's deal with that at a future date. I don't know what's going to happen.
Now, the way a sentence is structured, you say, we are not calling for the slaughter of white people, at least for now. That means at some future date, we may call for the slaughter of white people. Is that correct?
Let's deal with that at that future date. I don't know what's going to happen.
So you're saying you are not ruling out that in the future, you may very well call for the slaughter of white people.
It may not be me.
Oh, it might not be me.
Could it be you?
It could be me, yes, but it may not be me.
Yeah, so it could be you. You could, at some future date, call for the slaughter of white people.
What will necessitate that?
You tell me.
I don't know. Why would I do that?
You've said you could do it in the future. Is that correct?
I can't guarantee that I can't do it or I won't do it.
So right now,
so I'm not ruling out that possibility.
If I asked you to pledge to say, I will never call for the slaughter of white people, would you make that pledge?
I will do it with ease.
Make that pledge.
Why would I do that?
I'm asking you to make that pledge.
I
will do it.
I won't do it.
Make the pledge.
I won't do it.
You won't do it?
Yes.
I understand.
Okay, so baseless claims, you guys. Trump's just spreading fake news saying that there is possibly a genocide, or at least the rhetoric and actions that lead up to a genocide taking place in South Africa. But, they're baseless claims, you guys. So that's what the news says, so it must be true. Wally World, how did things work out in Zimbabwe? I don't know enough about Zimbabwe. I don't know enough about Rwanda either. It's probably something I should look into further, but I mean, there's horrific videos I've seen coming out of different countries in Africa where the slaughtering of Christians is taking place, not white people, just Christians in general. And the videos are horrific and brutal. Absolutely, like rounding people up and killing them. And it's horrific and brutal. That's not in South Africa. I can't even remember what country it was in off the top of my head, but maybe it was Zimbabwe. I'm not sure. So yeah, that's it. That's the South Africa situation in a nutshell. And it leads sort of leads to another horrific situation that's happening. So it's funny because one's anti-apartheid and one is apartheid. So now we're going to talk about the conflict that has arisen with Theo Vaughn's recent video that he put out that is lighting the internet on fire. Theo Vaughn recently went to the Middle East, I believe, Qatar, and he was asked to go there and speak and do some funny haha jokes. And he came back and he made this video. And a lot of people are saying now that he's funded by the Qatari government. It's so funny because there's people on the right talking about like anybody that sticks up for Palestinians or isn't happy with what Israel's doing in Gaza are obviously funded by Qatar, just like the left did when anybody says anything about the Russia-Ukraine war and how we shouldn't be funding it. We shouldn't be we should be seeking some sort of peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. Oh, you're funded by Russia. It's the same thing. And it goes to the whole woke right stuff, because the people that are calling other people woke right are actually doing what the left does by saying, oh, you're funded by the Qatari government. And that's what they're saying about Theo Von. Say lots of people on the right, because he just went to Qatar. Maybe he went there and spoke with people that told him more information regarding the horrific things that are happening in Gaza, and he is an empathetic person, and he doesn't want to see children being starved to death. He doesn't want to see people, he doesn't want to see women, children, and innocent civilians being bombed and murdered on a daily basis. Maybe that's why he's speaking up. And like, what was so controversial about Theo Von's video? Let's watch it. Let's watch Theo Von's video here, because you guys will see it's so controversial what he said. It's he's calling for peace, is what he's calling for. He's calling for people to stop being killed, and he must be funded by Qatar. That's what everybody's saying.
You know, I wanted to say something. There's been something that's just been kind of on my heart, and so I feel like
and I will say, Theo Von isn't like deeply knowledgeable of the Israel-Gaza situation. He's just seeing some things and saying, wow, that looks bad from my layman perspective. This looks bad, and I have to say something about it, because children are being starved, children are being bombed, and I don't like it. That's really what he says in a nutshell.
Should bring it up. There is, you know, we've had people on the podcast in the past to talk about it. And there's a conflict that's been happening in the Middle East. People know about it, between Israel and Palestine and some of the areas over there, the Gaza area they talk about. And I just think it feels to me, I don't know if it feels to me like it's a genocide that's happening while we're alive here in front of our lives.
So that right there, it feels like a genocide. And looking back at history, when genocides have taken place, the people that didn't speak up, the people that didn't say this is wrong, this is horrible, he's saying we're living through that right now, and we should be speaking out against it. This isn't right, and he doesn't want to be on the wrong side of history. He wants to use his platform, which is very large, to say this needs to stop. This is horrible. This is horrific what's happening. Even some of Israel's biggest supporters are like, this has gone too far. And it has. What is happening in Gaza is absolutely horrific. And, oh, well, Hamas shouldn't have done what they did on October 7th. So, okay, they're using that to justify the murder and starvation of innocent civilians and children. And I've listened to hours and hours and hours of debates and conversations about what's happening over there, and I have not found a single good justifiable reason for what they're doing. And I've said it from the beginning. They are going to level Gaza to the ground. They're going to push everyone, civilians included, out of that land, and they're going to take it over. This isn't about the hostages. Just release the hostages and it'll all end. Bullshit. I almost wish Hamas would release all the hostages so they don't have any other excuses. Israel doesn't have any excuses for what they're doing anymore. And we'll see. We'll see if the war ends after Hamas releases all the hostages. I have a feeling that if Hamas released all the hostages, all of them fled and completely left Gaza, Israel would still level that place to the ground and push everyone out so they could take over the land. That's what it looks like to me.
And I don't, sometimes I feel like I should say something. I'm not a geologist or geographer or anything like that, you know, so I don't know a lot of some of it I do know though. Like I know the basics of the issues over there, but for me, it's just like how I feel like you see all these photos of people, just children, women, people, body parts, just people like putting their kids back together. And I just can't believe that we're watching that and that more isn't said about it.
Now, so does this sound like somebody that's funded by Qatar and parroting talking points, or does this sound like a empathetic, caring human being that doesn't want to see the slaughter of children and civilians anymore? I know what it looks like to me, but people are calling him like some Qatari puppet, and it's ridiculous.
And so I'm not saying anyone else needs to say anything, but I think I'm just that more isn't said about it by me. So I just, I want to be able to speak up about that I think we're watching probably like, one of the sickest things that's ever happened. And I'm sorry if I've kind of haven't said about it. I've tried to talk about it and learn about it. But I don't know. Maybe I just wanted to say something. I don't even know what to do. And it's crazy because our country's also complicit in it. It's in it and has been for a long time. And it's just kind of interesting because then you just realize, oh, well, I'm a member of this country, but I'm just, what we want sometimes doesn't matter, and you just have to be a member of a place and your government is making other choices. So I don't know if I said that correctly, or I don't even know exactly what I said, but I just have, it's just like been making me really sick. And I feel like I just needed to say something that I think you don't have to think that. I'm not asking you to do anything. But I just have to say that. So I'm not sitting by, there's that piece inside of me. Like, why wouldn't can you say something? There's people that can't even speak and you can say something, and so that's how I just had to just speak up anyway. Yeah. So just praying for those people and just the grief that is all going to cause. Just like, what are we doing?
So, I mean, he feels like he's not doing much, but this is what we can do. I have a tiny platform, and I feel like I don't talk about it enough either. And what's happening over there is horrific. What the Israeli government is doing is horrific. And the more people that talk about it and say that this needs to stop is the best thing that people like us can do. If you agree with me, if you think Israel's completely in the right, that's completely your right to have that perspective. I think it's wrong, but I think the majority of the world thinks what's happening over there is wrong, and Americans, our government being complicit in what's happening, Americans like Theo, I'm not going to tell people what to do or what to think, but I do think that it is sort of incumbent on all of us to at least look at this step back and look at this from more of a open perspective and not just parrot what we've been told and look at it for what it is. Gaza being leveled and innocent civilians, tens of thousands of innocent civilians being slaughtered, forced out of their land and starved. And yeah, I don't think we talk about it enough. And, I'm not telling you guys to talk about it more, but I commend Theo Vaughn for doing what he did, because the bigger platform you have and you talk about this, the more you are attacked and you're called anti-Semitic. You're called, a Qatari puppet. You're called all sorts of horrible things. And it's strange. It's strange how it almost seems coordinated when the person speaking out is called a Qatari puppet. And then all of a sudden there seems to be a coordinated effort to shout that person down. So call me whatever you want, but I think what Israel is doing is evil. That's my 2 cents on it. So yeah, here's this guy named, a lot of people are taking Theo's clip and saying, this other guy, what the clip that I just played is this guy, Rabbi S. Lidvin, saying, how is Ivanka and Jared Kushner not embarrassed to be posing for pictures with this moron? Like, call him a moron. Like, okay, yeah, he's not highly informed on the issue, but he's seeing certain things and he's saying that he feels that it's wrong. Then you've got, oh, this is Rabbi Litvin again. He says, fun fact, he's going hard against Theo Von. Fun fact, Theo Von's last name is Kernatowski, as a general major Ernst von Kernatowski of the Weimar. So now he's calling him like a descendant of high-ranking Nazis. That's what he's calling that. So yeah, that's Theo Von's motive, is that he's a descendant of high-ranking Nazis. That's what his motive is. It isn't empathy for his fellow human, right? And so this is from someone else that has been heavily attacked, Daryl Cooper of the Martyr Made podcast. A lot of people don't like the guy. A lot of people think he's anti-Semitic and he does anti-Semitic dog whistles and he's secretly a Nazi supporter and stuff like that. I've listened to dozens of hours of, maybe 100 hours, over 100 hours of Daryl Cooper talking. Some of his non-political stuff, like the Jim Jones special he did, is freaking amazing. And what Daryl Cooper tries to do is, like, you look at the Holocaust, you look at the Holocaust during World War II, and the biggest question is, how did that happen? How did the German people become so evil that they allowed the slaughter of so many Jews? How could people be that brainwashed that they become evil and allow that sort of horrific thing to happen? So what he tries to do, and he tries to make it understandable of how that happened. He tries to explain how it happened, what happened inside people's minds. And he does that with the Jim Jones special because it's a similar thing. It starts off as one thing and it morphs into this insidious thing where hundreds of people end up committing suicide and they have their children drink Kool-Aid mixed with cyanide. Sorry, Flavor Aid. It wasn't Kool-Aid, it was Flavor Aid, even though everybody says don't drink the Kool-Aid. He takes really horrific events that happened in history and he tries to explain how these events happened. And people conflate what he's saying with as if he's justifying the reasons for how it happened. That's not what he's doing. He's trying to explain how the human psyche morphed into justifying horrific things that happened in history. That's what he tries to do. And he put this post out here that, in my opinion, is one of the most thought out solutions that I've seen so far. Oh, I'll stop sharing it. I guess I don't need to share it. I can just read it. So yeah, I don't need to share this. So people ask, okay, well, what should Israel do? What should be done then? You know, if they're not going to just keep bombing the shit out of Gaza and starving children and mass murdering civilians, what should Israel do? And this is Daryl Cooper's answer, and it's pretty well thought out. So Trump should call a summit with Turkey, Jordan, KSA, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Egypt, Iran, Lebanon, and the Palestinian Authority and Hamas. Invite Israel to send a rep if they want. Offer to recognize a Palestinian state along the internationally recognized 1967 borders. Begin immediate aid shipments to Gaza. Lead a cooperative effort to rebuild Palestine and Syria. Lift sanctions on Iran, on the conditions that Iran normalizes relationships with the Gulf states and halts support for regional non-state militias. Arab countries agree to house Palestinian victims of the Gaza assault Arab countries agree to house Palestinian victims of the Gaza assault until rebuilding takes place. Hamas agrees to demilitarize, recognize Israel's 1967 borders, and participate in Palestinian politics in an ordinary way along the lines of the Sinn Féin/IRA. If Israel tries to disrupt a genuine attempt at regional peace, it should face escalating sanctions and isolation. And if it tries to block aid shipments, rebuilding and resettlement of Gaza, or takes unilateral military action against a party to the summit, it should be seen as an attack on American national interests, and they should be opposed with American military force. Does Trump want to be remembered as a footstool of the two-bit politician like Benjamin Netanyahu, or as the president who brought lasting peace to the world's most troubled region? So, I mean, you don't see a lot of clear and concise answers to what should they do? What would you do? And he gave a very clear and concise one. You can disagree with points of it. I mean, it's a very controversial take, but Benjamin Netanyahu is a madman. He is a evil madman. And this isn't about ordinary, everyday Israelis, though there does seem to be some sort of mass brainwashing that's happened over there. This isn't about the Jews. This is about, to me, what looks like a genocide. And it's happening now in today's current times, and we're supporting it. So, I mean, what side of history do you want to be on? Do you want to support genocide or do you not? And all we have is our words and our thoughts. So I do not support what Israel's doing at all. So I know I talk about this probably more than I need to, but I feel like I need to. So let's go to Glenn Greenwald. This is kind of a longer clip. I'm not sure I'm going to play the whole thing, but he talks about how there's even Zionists, Israeli Zionists, that no longer agree with what Netanyahu is doing. And world support for Israel has completely, I'm not saying it's gone, but it is drastically diminished from October 7th to now, because what they're doing on the world stage is absolutely horrific. So let's go to, this is a clip from Glenn Greenwald, System Update. This is a show he does. I believe he does it nightly. So let's listen to what Glenn has to say here. I listened to this clip already, but it's he makes some very, very valid points here.
Probably the most pro-Israel pundit in all of the United States, and probably the most influential when it comes to liberal American Jews' views of Israel, is Tom Friedman. He loves Israel. He constantly has been in Israel. He used to be a reporter in Jerusalem. He is a very vocal and passionate Zionist. And yet on May 9th, he published an op-ed in the New York Times with this headline, quote, "This Israeli government is not our ally." Quote, "The notion that Israel has a government that is no longer behaving as an American ally and should not be considered as such is a shocking and bitter pill for Israel's friends in Washington to swallow, but swallow it they must. I have zero sympathy for Hamas. I think it is a sick organization that has done enormous damage to the Palestinian cause. It is hugely responsible for the human tragedy that is Gaza today. Hamas's leadership should have released its hostages and left Gaza a long time ago, removing any excuse for Israel to resume the fighting." That just gives you a sense for how dedicated he still is to the script of whose fault this is. But he nonetheless says, but Netanyahu's plan to reinvade Gaza is not to stand up a moderate alternative to Hamas led by the Palestinian Authority. It is for a permanent Israeli military occupation whose unstated goal will be to pressure all Palestinians to leave. This is a prescription for a permanent insurgency, a Vietnam on the Mediterranean. And the reason he's saying that the government who's doing that can't be considered a U.S. ally is because it, for decades, has been the U.S. position that is extremely damaging to American interests for this Palestinian-Israeli conflict to go unresolved without a two-state solution, because it impedes America's ability to do business in the Middle East. It causes anti-American hatred, because everyone knows that the only reason Israel gets away with all of this is because the United States, the most powerful military in the world in history, the biggest economy in the world, just forces American taxpayers to pay for it all, and even deploys military assets, put service members in the United States in harm's way to always defend Israel, no matter how many wars it starts. And so even Tom Friedman is saying, if they're going to reinvade Gaza and take it over, as they're clearly wanting to do, or annex the West Bank, the level of hatred, not just toward Israel, but the United States and the Middle East, will be out of control. Another very vocal supporter of Israel, Piers Morgan, on May 16th, posted the following, quote, "Another day, another horrific massacre in Gaza. This cannot go on. Netanyahu is out of control and must be stopped." Now, a lot of this is just conscience clearing. I watched this happen during the Iraq War. At the beginning, all the people who were opposed to the Iraq War were treated as like dirty leftists and communists and America haters and pro-terrorists. And then once the decent, respected establishment realized that they were right and that they had to admit it, they kind of came with this posture like, the real voices that matter are here now to say that this war is wrong. And even though, yeah, these people over here have been saying it from the start, they don't count. They weren't saying it for the right reasons. We are the authoritative voices. And when we say it's wrong, that's when it's wrong.
And this is why it's becoming so much more difficult to call the people who speak out against what Israel's doing anti-Semitic, because the loudest speakers of against what Israel is doing tend to be Jews. You've got guys like Glenn Greenwald here, who's a Jew. You've got Norman Finkelstein. You've got the guys from Do Dissidents. You've got Max Blumenthal. All of these guys are Jewish, and they are speaking out against what Israel's doing. Are you going to call them anti-Semitic? Dave Smith, same thing. And the people that are even more seeming like genocidal maniacs are the Christian Zionists, the people that aren't Jewish, that are just, and this is why, what's his name? Something Levin. I can't remember his first name. Talked about, he tried to say that neocon is an anti-Semitic trope. And I have never heard anybody say that. To me, neocon has always been warmongering right-wingers that's it, warmongering right-wingers. And now he's trying to associate that with being anti-Semitic. And it's laughable. And he got ripped apart when he said that. Mark Levin, that's who it is.
And that's exactly what they're doing now. They're pretending like there's something about this war that...
What's up, Bob Tiergarten? Just talking about controversial issues here that I'm not supposed to be talking about.
Was unpredictable, that it went to too many dark places. It was so obvious it was going to go here from the start. Here's an Israeli citizen who is a self-described passionate Zionist, believes strongly in the state of Israel, Shail Ben Ephraim. He's a fairly prominent commentator in Israel. And he said this on May 1st, quote, "It gives me no pleasure to do this, but it has to be done. I have thought long and hard about it, and Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. Here's my full explanation of why and how I reached that conclusion." And he goes on to explain that he used to vehemently object to the use of genocide for what Israel was doing. He used to get angry about it. And now he realizes that's the only term for it.
Yeah, what else are you going to call it? It's not a genocide. It's just an ethnic cleansing. You know, like that's why the whole semantical, if that's a word, semantical game of saying whether it's a genocide or not is just stupid. It's what's happening is horrific, whatever you want to call it. And from my perspective, genocide is the only word for it. Killing innocent civilians, pushing them out of the land, leveling all the structures except for the ones that Israel wants to keep, and then taking over the land appears to be what's going to happen. And I've been saying this since the end of October 2023, that's what it looks like is going to happen. And yeah, like there's hardcore Israel supporters now coming out saying this needs to stop. This is horrific. What's happening in Gaza is a genocide. And that's what Glenn Greenwald's saying now. It's like hardened Israel supporters are now saying that Benjamin Netanyahu's a genocidal maniac. And the U.S., like what Daryl Cooper said, the U.S. needs to make demands. We are in a position to actually make demands to Israel that this needs to stop. The solution he proposed, the going back to the 67 borders. I mean, our support for genocide cannot keep happening. We have to demand more from Trump in this regard, even though he surrounded himself with hardcore Zionists. But even Pete Hegseth, who's a total Christian Zionist, is even like, he spoke out against going to war with Iran, because that seems like what Israel wants us to do for them, is go to war with Iran. And that's why you should be highly, highly suspicious of anybody that's beating that war drum to go to war with Iran, because that won't be like Iraq. It won't be like Afghanistan. Iran is not some country that we're just going to walk all over. They got hypersonic missiles. It's anybody that's cheering to go to war with Iran is potentially cheering for World War III and horrible things that will have massive blowback on America. And yeah.
Outside of the United States, probably the two most dedicated and devoted supporters of Israel are the UK and Germany.
Boss Tina, all for beachfront realty for Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Yeah, like that is really what it looks like. I've been saying that from the beginning, is that looks like what they want to do. They want to level Gaza, and yeah, it is some prime time real estate, isn't it? And yeah, I do not like Kushner at all.
Because they're still trying to repent for the guilt they feel, absolve themselves of the guilt they feel from World War II and the Holocaust. And ironically, I guess they think that giving weapons and money to the Israelis to help them ethnically cleanse and commit genocide against the Palestinians is a way to repent for their sins from 65 years ago. But the UK is even more devoted to Israel, and yet members of parliament from the Conservative Party, the Tories, are starting to stand up and say, I've supported Israel my whole life. I supported this war. But I have to say, I apologize for that I was wrong. And I see that I'm wrong now. Here's Edward Lee, very standard conservative, a Tory member of the House of Commons. And here's what he said on May 14th.
I've been a member of the Conservative Friends of Israel for over 40 years, longer than anybody here. And Hamas is a brutal terrorist organization that hides people, their own fighters, under hospitals. But it's frankly unacceptable to recklessly bomb a hospital. It's unacceptable to starve a whole people.
And remember when they were saying in the beginning, we're not targeting hospitals. We're not targeting hospitals at all. They just accidentally got bombed. And now it's, oh, well, they're hiding under hospitals, so we have to bomb the hospital.
Is the minister aware that many friends of Israel worldwide, notwithstanding narrow legal definitions, are asking this moral question: when is genocide not genocide?
Mr. Speaker, I've heard in recent weeks a series of very powerful interventions from the benches opposite, and I take them seriously with the weight that they hold, particularly from the Father of the House and my neighbour in Lincolnshire. We will not move towards making determinations from dispatch boxes on questions of legal determination, but that does not mean we will wait, Mr. Speaker. The preliminary judgments of the ICJ and the provisional measures that they set out are important, and we will abide by them.
So interestingly, you have the conservative members of the parliament, including this guy who for 40 years has been in the Friends of Israel group. I don't know why these people get elected to represent the British people and then immediately go and join the Friends of Israel caucus, but whatever. That's just part of what conservatives and members of Labour have long done in the UK, just like the United States. If you're elected to Congress, it means you have to go make pilgrimage to Israel. You have to hold press conferences on it every day. You have to post about it every day. You have to introduce pro-Israel resolutions every day. But even he's saying, look, I just, this is too much. And that he wasn't the only one. Here from The Independent on March 4th, MPs report witnessing armed intimidation by Israeli settlers in the West Bank. Senator Edward Lee and Uma Kumaran were among those to recount their experiences. And there was a separate MP who stood up and actually apologized for his support for Israel in this war, saying that was totally wrong. Earlier today, there was a joint statement from three countries long vocally pro-Israel: the United Kingdom, France, and Canada. They issued a joint statement on the situation in Gaza and the West Bank, and this is what they said, quote, We strongly oppose the expansion of Israel's military. We strongly oppose the expansion of Israel's military operation in Gaza. The level of human suffering in Gaza is intolerable. Yesterday's announcement that Israel will allow a basic quantity of food into Gaza is wholly inadequate. We call on the Israeli government to stop its military operation in Gaza and immediately allow humanitarian aid to enter. This must include engaging with the UN to ensure a return to delivery of aid in line with humanitarian principles. The Israeli government's denial of essential humanitarian assistance to the civilian population is unacceptable and risks breaching international humanitarian law. Oh no, it risks breaching?
Right, they've already been doing that.
It hasn't already breached that? We condemn the abhorrent language used recently by members of the Israeli government, threatening that in their despair at the destruction of Gaza, civilians will start to relocate. Permanent forced displacement is a breach of international humanitarian law. We will not stand by while the Netanyahu government pursues these egregious actions. If Israel does not cease the renewed military offensive and lifts its restrictions on humanitarian aid, we will take further concrete actions in response. Oh.
So, I mean, this is not rhetoric from super anti-Israeli people. These are people that have always supported Israel. And now they're coming out and saying, this needs to stop. This is a genocide. You're breaking humanitarian law, national or international humanitarian law. And we don't support this any longer. This is happening across the board. Trump needs to make some serious moves in terms of establishing not some ceasefire, an end to this war, if that's what you even want to call it. Because doesn't a war usually have to have two different militaries? They're not just fighting Hamas, and who, like everybody says, Hamas, a terrorist organization, not the greatest guys. What they did on October 7th was horrific. Though the breakdown of Israeli intelligence in allowing that attack to happen is highly questionable at the least. How did they allow that to happen? I've been asking the question, did they allow it to happen so they could justify what they're doing in Gaza on the world stage? It's a legitimate question that even Charlie Kirk asked when this happened. Did they allow this to happen? So I'll finish this clip. Might as well. There's only a minute left.
Oh, that must be so scary for Netanyahu. I bet he's traumatized that Canada and France and the UK are saying, if you don't stop, we're going to take real concrete actions. These countries are arming Israel. They paid for a big part of the war. They diplomatically support Israel. And now they finally got around to we better issue a statement condemning it so we have clean consciences so that when we die, no one can say that we didn't speak up. They go on, quote, we oppose any attempt to expand settlements in the West Bank. Israel must halt settlements which are illegal and undermine the validity of a Palestinian state and the security of both Israelis and Palestinians. We will not hesitate to take further actions, including targeting sanctions. This is just ass covering by people who are increasingly realizing what they applauded, what they enabled.
And what they're doing, what Israel is doing, is also a giant threat to Israel as a state itself. How is there not going to be blowback from this, from all of the Muslim countries that surrounds them and looks at what they're doing? If the countries that are supporting this decided to pull back their support, I mean, how long is Israel's existing stockpile of weapons going to last if they come under a very serious attack? I mean, I don't want that to happen. I don't want the state of Israel to, well, I don't want anything to happen to the Israeli people. But I don't understand how what they're doing won't cause massive blowback from other countries and blowback on the United States for supporting it. I mean, if you've read Osama bin Laden's letter, that's why he did 9/11, primarily because of our support for Israel and the apartheid state of Israel and Palestine and the occupation of Gaza. And again, like Daryl Cooper, I'm not justifying what Osama bin Laden did. Screw that scumbag. But the reason he did it, the reason he claims that they did it, is because of the United States support for Israel. And this was 24 years ago now. And the genocide is now apparent to almost everyone, except for the rabid people out there that are attacking guys like Theo Vaughn because they have empathy for his fellow human. All right. That's all I'll talk about Israel. This has been like a somber episode. I didn't intend for it to when I put this together, I always put things together as separate topics. And I didn't realize that I put so many sad topics back to back to back to back, and controversial topics. I don't have any problem with controversy, but I also don't want to just bum everybody out with every episode. And yeah, I'm not going to shy away from things that people don't want me to talk about, but I also don't want this show to just be a total black pill and make everybody sad. So I apologize for that, guys. I didn't mean to just have a bunch of sad topics one after the other. So with that said, I'll jump to not a sad topic, but definitely a tinfoily one, because I haven't been able to stop thinking about this. It's so weird. It's so freaking weird. And I brought it up last show, but I sort of talked about it more in passing because I didn't have I didn't have much of a chance to really think about it. But now I have, and I've talked to some different people about it, and it's kind of insane. And a lot of people aren't looking at this angle of the James Comey 8647 thing. So you guys remember when James Comey posted this, right? It was back on the 15th. On May 15th, 2025, he posted 8647. And everybody starts getting up in arms saying he's calling for the assassination of Trump and crazy shit like that. And I'm not saying he's not, but 86, I mean, after working in clubs, 86 means somebody's not allowed back. They're kicked out and they're not allowed back to come into the club. Could he have been calling for Trump's assassination? Possibly. I don't think that's what he was calling for, but it is pretty irresponsible for the former FBI director to say that after there's been 2 attempts on Trump's life. I will say that. But I saw somebody post something and I thought about it. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of weird. And then I had dug into it a little more and I was like, that's not just weird. That is statistically impossible. So May 15th, 2025 was exactly 8,647 days since 9/11. I know that sounds crazy tinfoily, right? But what are you gonna? I mean, somebody pointed it out, and at first I just kind of thought maybe the numbers aren't even right, and then I looked it up several different ways, and it is, including leap year and everything, it's exactly 8,647 days since 9/11 when James Comey posted 8647 that he found in seashells on the beach. And I'm like, wait, what, mathematically, what is the chance that James Comey just posted that on accident without knowing that he was making a reference to that many days from 9/11? Now, he obviously did know that he was making a reference to 9/11. I'll show this here. So I decided to ask Grok. I said, what is the mathematical probability that James Comey posted 8647 on his Instagram exactly 8,640 days after September 11th? Grok's answer, it's a 1 in 36.5 million chance. 1 in 36 million chance that he posted it by mistake, making it impossible that he didn't know what he was saying. So Grok's final answer, the mathematical probability that James Comey accidentally posted 8647 on May 15th, 2025, which was exactly 8,647 days after September 11th, 2001, without knowing the connection, is approximately 1 in 36.5 million to 1, assuming a 10-year window for posting in any 4-digit number. 1 in 3.65 million. These probabilities suggest the event is extremely unlikely to be a coincidence. However, given Comey's background and the post deletion, it's possible that the post was intentional, in which case the probability of it being accidental is effectively zero. So we can we can deduce that James Comey was making a reference to 9/11 when he posted the 8647. Like, I don't know what that means, but like, why would he do that? And why it's all 8647 is also 8647, Donald Trump. So he like waited for that amount of days after 9/11 to post 8647, knowing that everybody's going to say that it has something to do with Trump, when in fact he's doing some coded thing to reference 9/11. Like, what? Like, I haven't been able to stop thinking about this. And it's not, I don't have a conspiracy theory. He clearly was making a reference to 9/11. He also clearly knew that everybody was going to get up in arms thinking he was making a reference to Trump, and only a small amount of people would actually recognize that, holy shit, it's 8,647 days since 9/11. So what was he trying to accomplish there? Who is this coded language for? This is bonkers to me. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand it, but I haven't been able to stop thinking about it because it's insane to me. So yeah, that's it. Just wanted to dig into that. You guys do the math too. Ask any AI or do the math with your calendar, however you want to do it. How many days after 9/11 was May 15th, 2025? 8,647 days. Why did James Comey post that? What the hell? Yeah, so pretty freaking weird. Pretty freaking weird, guys. All right, let's I have a whole bunch of California stuff pulled up, but you know what? I might call it a night there, because I got at least an hour with California stuff that I want to talk about. I've got here, I'll wrap it up with this, because this was just funny. You guys saw like a week ago, Emmanuel Macron, Keir Starmer, and what is it? Is it Ferdinand Merz? Isn't he the Chancellor of Germany? I don't know. He's another world leader. They all had a meeting, and it looks like they had some cocaine out on the table. I don't know if you guys saw this. I'm sure you did. This was like a week ago, and I've been meaning to talk about it, so I might as well talk about it now. So this is the clip that went mega viral. It's got 30 million views. This is from Alex Jones. He says, developing scandal, Macron, Starmer, and Merz caught on video on their return from Kiev, a bag of white powder on the table. Macron quickly pockets it. Merz hides the spoon. No explanation given. Zelensky, known cocaine enthusiast, had just hosted them. All three of the leaders look completely cracked out, is what he says. So you guys saw this, right? Looks like a bag of cocaine there. It's a bag of white powder, right? So keep your eye on that bag and then watch Emmanuel Macron.
It's a long walk. I'll be back in Poland. It's through my bathroom, huh? It's literally. We came through Germany, and then we made it to France. Bedroom and
Watch the bag. Watch the bag. Oh, there it is. There it is. Macron grabs the bag off the table. He's got it in his right hand. Puts it under his elbow. Oh, forgot there was Coke on the table. Oh, there's cameras everywhere. I hope they didn't see the Coke. Switches it into his other hand. Now it's in his left hand. In the pocket it goes. Oh, there it is. So it's just, that's hilarious to me. Here's another angle of it. So Clint Russell over at Liberty Lockdown says the neoliberal world order is ran exclusively by coked up, gay, closeted dudes who want to start World War III. And honestly, I'm pretty sick of it. This is one more angle of it. Cocaine right there. Oh, looks like a line. Looks like a line out on the table. Oh, that's the spoon. I'm sorry. That's the little Coke spoon. It's a Coke spoon. It is. Oh my God. I've never done cocaine in my life, so I apologize for not recognizing it as a Coke spoon. Oopsie daisy. Pretty funny. That was from Lord Bebo. So last little edit here. So who did this, guys? Who did this?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's Hunter Biden and Clayton Bigsby. Is that Clayton? Yeah, Clayton Bigsby, right? Little Chappelle show. All right. So I thought that was funny. Looks like our the world leaders that are leading us off to World War III are all cooked up maniacs. How about that? I wonder if Netanyahu's a cooked up maniac. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt that he is. All right, folks. I think that is I think I'm going to call it there. I think that's all I got for this evening. Yeah, I'll be back. I'm going to try to be back on Friday as long as I don't get stuck at work late. And I'll do like an all California episode. And then Sunday, I have an interview with Keith McHenry from Food Not Bombs. And that should be an interesting conversation because we're going to talk about the California homeless situation. But we are also going to talk about the situation in Israel and Gaza because he is he's very spoken out against it, and I do want his perspective on it. So, yeah, we're gonna be having a pretty interesting conversation. So, hope you guys can join me Sunday. I'm going to try to be back here at 6:00 on Friday night. Hopefully, you guys could join. Thank you all for hanging out tonight. Bob Tiergarten, Boss Tina, Wally World, you guys are awesome. Thanks for joining me in the chat. But before we get out of here, we got to tell a joke from the greatest book ever written, The Truth About Chuck Norris. What do we have tonight? All right. All right. Chuck Norris joke of the evening. Here it is. There are 3 ways to do things: the right way, the wrong way, and the Chuck Norris way. The Chuck Norris way is the same as the wrong way, but with more roundhouse kicks. And on that note, stay CaliBased.